Hey, it's Jared. We're going to build a review and comparison website from scratch using the Creator Suite from Site Nitro. So we're looking at an example from one of my sites. This is my tech review site. I do tech review videos on YouTube, and I take that content and turn it into articles, whether it be reviews of an individual item, comparisons of 2 or 3 different items. Sometimes I do roundup articles, videos of multiple products, and then I'll do a roundup article as well. And then sometimes I will create a guide that helps people better understand how to use a certain feature. This video, in a sense, is kind of like a guide, and I like to turn those into articles as well because the search engines and the AI tools, they really love YouTube, but they also like articles and having content to reference. And so I like having my content in multiple places. So we're going to build a site that allows you to easily be able to create reviews like this. And there's written reviews. We've got our table of contents over here, a sponsored area. And then if we scroll down, we've got a final verdict. We've got the ability to rate this as useful or not helpful. We have an FAQ section and then an author section down below. And what's great about this plugin is that it does all of the formatting of all of the content for you and makes it appear in a nice layout without having to do a ton of work. And it's a very simple plugin to use. You can see here the comparison. This automatically generates a side-by-side rating comparison. We could put our YouTube video in here. We've got our detailed table of contents over on the side, and lots of additional information in here, FAQ section. And so as you can see, there's a usefulness to a plugin like this, especially the fact that this plugin uses all of the schema best practices, as well as SEO and other acronyms that are important to ranking well in search and having your content included in the search engines, AI tools, and all that good stuff. So we're literally going to start from scratch. We're going to spin up a WordPress website here. I'm going to add it to my server. We're using XCloud, so I'm going to hit Add New Site, and then I'm going to choose Install New WordPress Website. Now, we're just going to use default here, and we're going to give this one a title. We're going to call it Montana Moments.com because that's the domain name. We'll add montanamoments.com to the actual domain. Now, I already have this domain added to Cloudflare, so all I have to do is click Add DNS and SSL certificate on Cloudflare. It recognizes that that site or that domain name is already connected on Cloudflare, so nothing that I'm going to need to do. I'm not going to have to go and connect the DNS or change IP addresses or anything like that. It's going to do it for me automatically. This is not a WordPress multi-site, so we'll leave that turned off. We'll go ahead and use Lightspeed Cache because this particular server is a Lightspeed Cache server, and so that option is here. If we were using maybe Nginx or something like that, that would be the option selected. I don't need any email. And I'm not going to use a pre-built blueprint. Blueprints are great if you're trying to build a specific type of website, or perhaps if you saved your own blueprints of websites, that makes it easy for you to duplicate and start from not just stock WordPress, but start with WordPress that already has maybe a theme and some plugins and some other things already pre-installed. Makes it very easy for you to do that. We'll go ahead and click Next. And it's going to start the process of creating that site on the server that I already have. Now, while it does that, I've done a complete review of XCloud. I've been using XCloud for about a year now and have had no issues with them at all. My sites run well, they're secure, everything is fast, and it's really easy for me to upgrade to a higher level of server if I need to, spin up additional servers, and it's really easy to manage and know what's going on with my servers because of the dashboard that XCloud comes with. Now, while we wait for this WordPress website to get set up, we're going to go over to Site Nitro. I've already purchased an agency license of Creator Suite. And so all I have to do is come into my download section and I can download the plugin. So we'll click on download. It will download that to my downloads folder. Great. And then we'll go back to licenses. So I'm just going to copy that to the clipboard and it'll be ready to go, because the first thing that we're going to install is the Creator Suite plugin. The Creator Suite plugin is what's going to give us the functionality to write reviews, comparisons, roundups, and guides very easily. And before we do any design or set up anything on the website, I want to show you just how easy it is to use the plugin. All right, so we've got a new site set up here. This is all the information about this specific site. From the dashboard on XCloud, I can see what CPU, memory, or disk resources are being used. I can see if backups are enabled and when the most recent backup was, the overall performance of the site. This is the speed test for both desktop and mobile. It's not showing anything yet because this is a new site. We also can see if there are any vulnerabilities here. We also have the ability to enable automated virtual patching, which would patch problems with plugins or update them automatically. We can see our domain name and our SSL is active. We can add staging sites here. We can manage our cache, any additional add-ons. We can see updates to plugins and themes here. And then we can also see recent events to the website as well. So this site overview dashboard is just amazing. There's so much functionality and features here. Now over right here with this blue button, I can click on Magic Login and it's going to automatically log us into our WordPress website. So with XCloud, there's no need to remember your difficult password. You can just log into XCloud and easily access all of your websites. So we've got a stock version of WordPress here. If we go to visit the site, you can see we've got montanamoments.com up here. We've got a stock WordPress website with nothing else installed other than probably the Lightspeed Cache plugin, and that is all that's there. We'll go ahead and run the update on the Akismet anti-spam, and later on we will activate that because it does work really well. But first, let's install our plugin. Let's go upload, choose file. We'll go to our downloads folder and grab that Creator Suite Pro and hit open and install into the site and hit activate. And now the plugin is installed. You can see here, because this is the Pro version, it's asking for that license. You can install the free version of this plugin, and the free version will get you started. It'll allow you to use the base functionality of the plugin. But I highly recommend, if you really want to take this serious, get the Pro version of the plugin and put in your license key. We'll go ahead and paste in that license key here. You can see now that my license is active. And we have all of these new features over here on the left-hand side. We have reviews, comparisons, roundups, guides, and the Creator Suite menu. So each of these are going to look pretty familiar. It's going to look just like it does if you go and create a post in WordPress, but the actual new post page is going to look significantly different. The first thing that you'll want to do, especially if you are doing reviews, is go and set up review types. So under review types, this is where you would set the different categories of reviews. And within the Creator Suite, they're called review types. So for example, with my tech website, I would have smartphones as a category of review types, and then maybe phone cases and tablets and laptops. And so anything that I'm going to be comparing in different types of reviews, I would probably want to have similar review categories. And so I would set up those review categories here. Now you can leave general review just as it is, or you can rename that. So I'm going to rename this one restaurants. The breadcrumb label, I also want to be restaurants. I can leave that blank, or I could put that in here. We then want the URL slug probably also to be restaurants. I'll make sure that's all lowercase. And the badge label we'll have as restaurant review. And under the button text, we'll put view restaurant. And then under the schema type, we would choose the schema type that this best fits under. Now, this is the complete list of items as far as schema goes. And so we would choose restaurant. I know it's a very short list, but those are the supported schema types. And so we'll choose restaurant. And then we'd have to come up with our rating categories. I've got my 5 categories in place. Let's actually add a few more. I'm going to add family friendliness, and then we'll also add uniqueness to it as well. So now we've got 7 categories, and we'll just go ahead and hit save review types. Now I have 1 review type in here, but we can add as many as we need. And then when we go into reviews, we'll go and hit add new review. The editor here looks very much just like standard WordPress as you would expect. But over here on the right-hand side, you can see that we have a tag section that's minimized, but we also have our review type. So we would choose our review type. We can override the badge label. So see, it says restaurant review. I could change that to something else if I wanted to. We have the Lightspeed cache options. This is from that plugin. But if we minimize that, you can see we have our SEO settings for our meta title and description. And then we can also override the ad for the sidebar there. So sometimes you have to pull this up. Let's drag that up a bit. And you can see that we have import JSON. We also have all of the review entries here. So we would give each item a rating 0 to 5, and then it's automatically going to add that up. We have sections for pros and cons. Right now it says product name, product URL. That actually should update to say restaurant and be in line with the review type. I probably just need to clear the cache. But this is where you'd put in the restaurant name, the restaurant URL. You'd put in basically a couple of $signs for how pricey it is, like 1 for cheap, maybe 4 for the most expensive, so that people can get an idea of how expensive that restaurant is. You can give it a quick verdict. You've got a button text that takes you to their website or their business listing, maybe their Google business listing, whatever you want to link it to. You can choose whether this is a sponsored post, and this will add rel sponsored to the post and adds an affiliate disclosure if need be. Then you have your final verdict. You can add your review video, whether that be a YouTube video or some other sort of video. And then you also have your FAQ sections down below. Now, what's good about having all of these fields the way that they are is that it makes it really easy for you just to put in the information, and then the plugin itself is going to generate the page and display everything appropriately. Now, this import JSON option is really cool because I could come into something like Claude and I can upload the included prompt that comes with the plugin. So you also get access to a prompt that you can use in Claude or ChatGPT. And then you write your review. So you basically just write your review into Claude or ChatGPT. If you're like me, you probably filmed a video and you have all of that content in the video. You can take the transcript from your video and then paste it into Claude along with the prompt and just say, run this prompt on the attached transcript or run this prompt on the attached text. It's going to go ahead and create the review for you based off of the information that you gave it. It's going to apply the appropriate ratings, the appropriate category. You can even ask it to generate FAQs for you, or you can write your own, and it's going to export JSON that you would then come in here and paste into this box, and then it's going to autofill everything automatically into the site, which saves a ton of time. The problem that I had with creating a lot of YouTube content was taking that, turning it into an article. Of course, when AI came along, it made it easier for me to create an article, but I still had to get that article into my website, format things appropriately, put it in the right category. If I wanted to have a review there, I had to figure out how to create that, maybe some sort of a graphic or whatnot. It was very time consuming, and so I just flat out didn't do it. But this process is so insanely fast that it really only adds about 15 minutes of time for me to take one of my finished videos and turn that into an article on my website. Of course, if you're not creating video content, what this allows you to do is much easier produce good-looking content that's going to get ranked by the search engines. So we also have the ability to create other content types as well. We have comparisons, and if we come into the comparison tab, we have the sidebar over here with similar sections to what we saw on the review page, but down below we also have the JSON import because the prompt works the same. We also have the ability to compare the items, and so we have our item A, which it's not updating yet. If we changed the schema type down to restaurant, it would update to restaurant. It would say restaurant A details, restaurant name, URL. We add an image or a logo for the restaurant, then restaurant B, and then we can also add restaurant C if we wanted to compare 3 of them. We would add our comparison categories, which essentially would be the review categories using this example of this camera comparison. These are the comparison categories here. And then we would add the rating next to those. We then declare which one's the winner. We put the URL in there. We have our verdict. We have our FAQ section as well. And so these are built out to make it really easy for you to create this kind of content. But all we have so far is a real basic website. Let's get some things installed and start designing this website. First, I'm going to go into plugins and we're going to install Elementor. I like using Elementor because it's really easy to build websites and manage those websites and keep them looking good without having to know any code, without having to mess with the challenging block system or website builder system that WordPress itself is trying to implement. It's editing websites in WordPress is not easy. I have tried to build websites using nothing but what WordPress comes with, and it can be a real challenge. And I'm just not. And for me, I don't want to spend a bunch of time working on my website. I want to be working on content for my website. So we're going to go ahead and log in and get connected to Elementor here because we're going to install Elementor Pro as well. So once logged in, we'll click connect and it will connect to my account on Elementor. If you don't have an Elementor account, I've got a link in the description of this video for you to use to get access to Elementor. Pro does have a cost. I think it is worth it because it lets you customize your menus and create nice headers and footers on the website. And so let's go through this process here. I'm just gonna get through this quickly. These things don't really matter. I can click skip down at the bottom right-hand corner and just skip through all of these. And then it's going to recommend the Hello or Hello Biz theme. I'm just going to go with Hello. The Hello Biz theme doesn't really add any features that I like, so I'm just going to go ahead and click continue. It's going to install that real basic theme, and then it will present us with the option to use AI to build a website, which is a tool that is connected with Elementor, or we can use website templates. I have found that the AI site planner that wireframes, it's more trouble than it's worth. It's getting better, but it's not something that I typically use. I will usually start out with a website template. So when I click there, we get access to all of these website templates. I usually go with the wireframe, and the wireframes are these empty looking sites with some sections that are already there. You can see that some are free and some are advanced, which means you do have to have Elementor Pro for that. And there are a variety of different templates here that you can start with. Basically, what we're going to do here is import one of these, and then we're going to export it. We're going to import it into Claude, and then we're going to have Claude design the website for us. So I'm just going to start with the local services wireframe. I like that one. So of course you can click view demo and check out any of these and see which one that works best for you. For the type of site that I'm building, I wouldn't necessarily need to have an address or a phone number, but everything looks good. What I don't necessarily want is this like photo grid over here on the side. This one, it does look like it's geared towards a restaurant. We're just going to click on back and we'll look at the local services wireframe too. That's probably the one that I'm going to go with because it's nice and simple and not overcomplicated. When I'm ready, I'll click apply and it's going to apply it to the website. We'll click get started and connect and activate because I need to make sure that I have my Pro license connected. We'll click apply all. It's setting up the website template and getting everything plugged in there. And now I can see the website live. So if I actually just go back to our main homepage on the domain name here, you can see that we've got a completely different looking website now. The template is there and ready to go. You can manually edit all of these things if you'd like. You just click on edit with Elementor and you go in and change all of the text and make all of the updates and stuff like that. It's very easy to manage, but we are going to use AI to kind of give us a head start. So let's exit out of this page. Let's exit out of Elementor here. It's letting us know that Elementor is here in the side menu. We're going to go to the tools menu. And then under website templates, I can export this website. So right now the pages that it created are contact us. This is from installing Elementor. We have global styles, which just shows us the different color and font styles, which is a page that we don't need. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And we'll actually delete the Elementor 11 page as well because we don't need that. We have our home page, our services, our story, which is like your about page, a privacy policy, and a sample page, which is the sample page that WordPress installs when you install WordPress for the first time. So before we actually export the website and have Claude work on it, I'm going to make sure that the pages that I have are named appropriately. I want it to be about instead of our story. So I'm going to change the name to about, and I'm going to change the URL to about also, and then we'll just go ahead and hit save and save that. Hit the WordPress icon to go back. Another item that I noticed is not there yet is a header and a footer. So we want to add that first beforehand. So let's go into Elementor and into Theme Builder, and we'll click on header. Now, it didn't end up applying the header that it was showing us in the sample site for whatever reason. So we could go into blocks and look at the different header types that are available. We can click on the plus to get a bigger view of that header and see what that header looks like. This header is pretty simple. Let's look at the header over here. Let's look at this other header option. This one I'm liking because I don't need the address and phone number up at the top. So let's go ahead and hit insert. It's going to insert that header up at the top. We have a logo here. We haven't uploaded a logo to our site yet. So you could click change site logo. Then you would want to upload your logo image. If you don't have a logo yet, then obviously there's nothing to do. I don't have a logo yet for this site, so we're just going to leave that blank. You can see we have our menu is populating, those 4 pages that we have that are public. And then we also have a contact us button over here. So I don't need the contact us button. I'm going to right click on that and hit delete. And then now we have our menu here. We have our logo over on that side. We'll go ahead and hit publish and then hit add condition. And I want it to show on the entire site. So we'll just hit save and close. Now that header is going to be visible on every page on the site, which is great. That's exactly what we want. We'll hit exit. It gave it the name of Elementor Header 66, which I don't like. I'm just going to change the name of this to main header and then hit update. That's just going to help me remember that this is the main header. That way I don't confuse it with anything else. We'll go back to the theme builder over here on the left, and under footer, we'll click footer. You can see there's no footer. We'll click add new, and then it's going to show us all of the different pre-built footers that we can choose from. Of course, I could just close this and build my own footer. And then if we had templates available from something we had previously created, we could load those in here as well. But we're just going to go under blocks, and I'm going to choose to insert this footer over here on the right-hand side. Just click insert, and it's populated everything down here at the bottom. As you can see, we've got our logo, which if we had changed would automatically update here. We have our little blurb of text, which we can edit. I might write a short blurb about how I review restaurants and food in the northwestern Montana area. We can also change services over here. This obviously wouldn't make sense for what we're writing. This might be our review categories. And so I might title this reviews. And then underneath that, I could put restaurants. Of course, this isn't linking to any categories yet, so I could just leave that as it is. I could also put activities and any other review type that I have here. And then as I build out those review type categories, which we talked about at the beginning of this video, I could link to those here. So we won't mess with that yet. And then we've got our quick links, which essentially are the same links that we have up in our header menu. And then I can update the contact information over here on the right if I would like. We'll just hit publish and then add condition, include on entire site. We want that as well. Hit save and close. And then we will exit to WordPress. I also like to change the name to main footer just to keep things simple. As I mentioned, we'll go ahead and hit update. And then now if we look at our website, it has a header section and it also has a footer section. So we're going to go back to that tools page. I'm going to export this entire website. We'll just go ahead and hit export. I'm going to call this Montana Moments, and I want to have content export, templates export, settings, and then by default, it's just going to leave plugins checked, and we'll hit export, and then it's going to give us a downloadable, which we'll go ahead and hit save, and you can see it has now saved that to our computer. Now, if I come over to Claude, I want to add that zip file. So we're going to go ahead and attach the Montana Moment zip that we just saved, and I'm going to give it a simple prompt. All right, so I've created a simple prompt that says, I'm creating a reviews website called Montana Moments. I will review local restaurants, activities, shops, and stuff like that. I'm using WordPress with Elementor Pro and have attached a basic site layout that I've exported out of Elementor. Please take this site layout and make it more dynamic. I need a homepage, about, and contact page. I'm using the Creator Suite from Site Nitro, so the reviews and other post types will be created automatically. For colors, please choose something that fits northwestern Montana. Please ask questions you have before starting. And we'll go ahead and submit that. The first thing that Claude's going to do is extract that zip and look at all the files. Now, the reason that we are uploading that zip and not just having Claude create everything from scratch is because Claude seems to get it wrong half the time. When I try to have it generate the code directly for Elementor without giving it examples, things end up not working out very well. So giving it this site export is going to be a huge head start for Claude. It's going to cut down on a ton of work. Now, there are lots of places that you can buy Elementor templates, and you could actually take that Elementor template kit and run it through the same process that we're doing here. You don't have to use this basic wireframe layout. You can get much more fancy by using other templates that you might find. So you can see here that it's looking at everything, seeing the generic colors and layout and everything that's already there, and giving some recommendations. It's flagging that the export uses Hello Elementor Plus at 4.0, and that Elementor has some newer features now that are better than this export that I created, which is fine. So now it has some questions for me. What's the visual feel you want for Montana Moments? I'm thinking I like the big sky variant, which is sky blue, golden hour, lake teal, more colorful, or maybe the modern alpine, which is off-white, slate, single bold accent. I think we're going to go with the more colorful and just see what it comes up with. It's asking me who my primary audience is. I would say I want it to be applicable to locals and tourists, but let's say both, but tourists slightly more because this is a tourist area, and those are the people that are probably going to be searching for things like this. What's my geographical scope? We're starting out in kind of the Flathead Valley. Let's say Flathead Valley plus Glacier National Park area. And I can expand out after that. I don't even really know they might be writing some text. Claude might be wanting to write some text. And so giving it that information is going to help it better understand what text to put in the different sections. So now it says it needs some answers, and it has some additional questions for a homepage tagline, featured content order, review categories, about page voice, contact form, and affiliate disclosure. And the technical flag, are you running Elementor 4.0? Yes, I am running Elementor 4.0. So let's go and enable the Atomic Builder as well, just to have that set up, because that is a newer feature of Elementor, and I want to make sure that we are using all of the latest tools. So we'll go under settings and then atomic editor, and it looks like it is active because otherwise it wouldn't say deactivate. So 4.0 is enabled. And then I don't have all of this stuff planned out. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it to fill in everything. Please create a tagline for me and build the content for the pages. The review categories will be automatically generated as archive pages. And then for contact form, just add a simple one for now. I will swap it out with gravity forms later. No affiliate disclosure needed. And we'll go ahead and see if it has any additional questions. All right, so it's building everything out now. It's giving me some additional information. It's showing me the color palette that it has chosen, which I actually really like. Showing me the font. And once it's done, there are some things that we're going to need to update. Once we start putting reviews in, we want to be able to dynamically display those reviews. So for example, if we look at the tech site and we go back to reviews, so let's look at the review category, you can see all reviews, and it shows all of the reviews listed here in a grid. If we go to the home page, we have recent articles, we have latest reviews, so it's showing a grid of 4 reviews. We also have head-to-head comparisons, and we've got 3 of those here. And we'd see the same thing if we went to the home page on my photography site. So if we went back to cameras and looked at camera comparisons, we've got 2 that are in there now. If we go back to comparisons in general, I only have 2 comparisons on this site, so not much to see there. If we go back home and we scroll down, you can see we've got recent posts, we have recent reviews, recent comparisons, and recent guides. And then, of course, if we go under content and we go to guides or any of these other sections, we can see all of these. And if I click on one of them, it shows us all of the content, but then we can also go back through those different categories. So a lot of these category sections are going to be automatically generated, and we can customize those as we wish with Elementor as well. All right, the build is finishing up. So it's showing us everything that's in the build, and we've got the zip file over here. So we'll just let it finish doing what it's doing and giving us some additional information. And so since I didn't really give it a lot of information, I'm not going to give it much feedback here. We're just going to download this zip file. So Montana Moments rebuilt, we'll hit save. We'll go back to the tools page, and then we're going to choose upload zip file, and we'll choose click to upload. We'll choose the rebuilt zip file, hit open, and everything's looking good so far. We don't have any errors. I'm going to hit import, and it's going to set up the website with the template. So I'm pretty excited. The one thing that it's not going to do is add in a bunch of images. We will need to go and add in our own images. So let's actually, this is what we had before. This is what our website looked like. Let's do that big reveal, hit that refresh button and see what we've got. All right, things are quite a bit cleaner and I really like it. I think this section here was probably supposed to be 4 boxes next to each other, but it's showing up as 4 stacked. That's something that I can easily fix and update. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and just see what it did for these. The review page, this is empty. It doesn't have anything. That's fine. These will have content once we start to write reviews and have roundups and guides and all of that stuff in place. Let's take a look at our About page. I like that. Pretty simple. And our Contact Us page looks good also. So let's go back to the home page. We're going to fix that one issue. I just want to show you how to do that because it never fails when I use Claude to generate these Elementor pages that everything ends up stacked like this instead. And it's probably, it doesn't intentionally do that, but it just doesn't know how to have those appear side by side. If we go back to the container, so this is the full container, you can see that it's set to row horizontal and it should be stacking these, but it's not. So what I do to fix that is I will go and grab, so we'll take this container and I'm just going to drag it in place here and note where that is at. And then we'll go ahead and just drag this into place here. So you can see now we've got the container moved down 1. I'm going to get it inside of the box here. So now it's there above all of the rest of these. And we're going to drag all of these inside of that container. But we're going to make sure first that that container is set to row horizontal. And then I could even just drag all of these right up into place. And you can see now that they appear how they're supposed to, all in the row. Of course, they're a little out of order. That's fine. And you can see that there isn't any spacing. I can add spacing by going in and adding, say, a 20 pixel gap. And now we've got a nice gap between all of those. And I think it appears the way that it was supposed to. Now, it was eat, do, stay, and shop. So we want to make sure that those are in the right order. Eat needs to be up here. So we'll just drag this one up. So it's eat, stay, do. Okay, so stay needs to, so shop. All right, so now we have them in order. And if we look down here, it says best of roundups. This would be dynamically pulling in the roundup category. And so since we don't have any roundups added yet, nothing is displayed. But if we come down here, you can see the source is set to roundups already, which is fantastic. So when we start adding roundups, they're going to show up here. This section below is set to guides. And so if we scroll down and look at the query for that, you can see it set to guides, which is awesome. And then, of course, this one up here is set to reviews. And we can see that it is set to the correct review type. And these are automatically created by the Site Nitro Creator Suite plugin. So there's nothing that we need to do and customize there. Now that we've made the adjustments to our page, we can just simply hit publish. and our page is saved. Now I would probably want to change this solid color to a background image. And so I could easily do that by going to Unsplash. Actually, we'll go to my Unsplash page because I have a nice Montana image there that we'll go ahead and download and put into place. I think we'll go with this Lake McDonald background, and we'll choose the download free option. I can choose some different sizes here. We'll just go with large because I don't want the massive original size. So we'll go ahead and save that. We'll go back to our container. We'll make sure that the whole container is selected. We'll go to style. You can see here, there's nothing in that image placement. We'll go ahead and hit the trash on that. We'll hit the plus. We'll hit select file, and we'll choose that image. Now, of course, you'd want to add a alt text to it to describe what the image is. So now that the image is in place, let's just make sure everything still looks good, because sometimes you can add an image which makes the text a bit hard to read. Everything is looking good, actually, just by dropping this in. This is not a problem at all. Of course, we can't see the lake down below, so I could choose to change how the image is cropped in here, maybe choosing bottom center. We've got some lake. We've got a little bit of mountains, and that's not bad. I actually like that crop a bit better, even though the text is kind of along this line, this tree line, making it a little bit more distracting. Let's actually take a look and see what center looks like. Yeah, I still like the lake better, so let's just put bottom center back in place, and we'll hit publish just to save things, and things are looking pretty darn good. Now, of course, it changed some things down here. There's some alignment issues that we've got with this long email that it put in place here. We'll adjust these things. All of these are easily editable, but in a matter of a small amount of time, we ended up with a pretty nice head start as far as a website goes. So now if we look at this site, the header needs some adjustments, but if we scroll down, this looks great. Maybe the alignment does look off a little bit. I'm gonna have to check. Maybe it's just the monitor and the angle that I'm sitting at. But as far as everything goes, it is looking really nice. And we did not a lot of work. Of course, I see this blue bar down here. We need to update the color to match, as I don't think that's matching this text color. So there are some few things that we'd have to come in here and customize, but overall, not that big of a deal. So because I don't have any restaurant reviews written yet, I'm going to show you how you would take a video and convert that into a full review. So we're just going to take the URL. This is a restaurant, a burger joint in Kalispell called Frugal's. This is somebody else's video, but we're just going to copy the URL to this, and then we'll do a Google search for YouTube transcript download. And any of these are going to work, but I'm going to choose the one from notegpt.io, and we're going to paste in that video URL and hit generate transcript. So it's going to pull in the transcript from the video, and we'll hit copy, and I'll choose copy with timestamps. We're going to go back over to Claude. I'm going to choose a new chat, and I'm going to paste in the transcript. I'm then also going to click plus and hit add files or photos, and I'm going to choose the prompt. So this is the JSON generator prompt. We'll hit open, and it's going to add that. And then I'm going to say use the prompt to generate a comprehensive review. Now, there are some questions that the prompt is going to ask so that it knows how to create the appropriate review type for the website. So I'm just going to keep it simple. We'll go ahead and hit enter, and it's going to read the prompt file, and then it will come back and ask us some questions. I know that one of the questions that it's going to ask is what the review type slug is. So if you go under your Creator Suite menu, go to review types, you can see that your URL slug for this particular instance is restaurants. And so I'm just going to copy that to the clipboard. We'll go back, and it's going to say, okay, confirming this is a review. And it's about a single individual burger, not necessarily the restaurant. So it says full body, 2,500 to 3,500 words. Give it a custom word count or just the JSON only, and I will write the body. I'm going to go ahead and say, I want this to be a review of the restaurant, not just the burger. Use the burger as the meal I had. Review can be 1,200 words, and then we'll go ahead and hit submit. Now, of course, if there was a lot more content in this particular review, it would give us a lot more information. Okay, it says review slug type for rating categories. It says fast food, all defined. It's asking if it wants to generate those for us. And I'm just going to say, no, use the slug restaurants. And we'll go ahead and hit next. It says anything to include. We can include the YouTube video URL. We can include the specific price figure. And then we'll go and hit submit, and we'll see if it has everything that it needs here. Couple quick follow-up questions. It might do that. It says it needs the YouTube video URL. That's not something that we gave it. That's something that we gave the transcript scraper. So now it wants to know what the review categories for that slug are. Being that it's the first time that we've talked to Claude about this, it doesn't know what these categories are. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste in the categories that I am using and hit next, and it will have those categories. Couple more details that it would like to know. The transcript for the price of the meal said $12.90, so we'll go ahead and add that. For the website URL, we'll want to find the Frugal's website, and so we'll choose the Frugal's Kalispell location, and we'll just copy that, and then we can go ahead and paste that in place. And then it needs that YouTube video URL, so we'll go ahead and provide it with that. We'll put it right there. And now it's writing all of the JSON code, and we will simply copy and paste that JSON code right into the website, and it will generate everything that we need. So while we're waiting for that to finish, we'll go back to the back end of the website. We'll go under reviews. I'm going to hit add new review, and then we'll just open up the JSON tab, and then we just have to wait for the rest of the content to be created. Now we are going to need a featured image, so because I don't have one, and this is just an example, I'm going to go ahead and save this image off of Google. Of course, I would want to use my own images, and after I get done with this example, I'm going to be deleting it, not actually publishing it live. We would want to use our own images. All right, so we have the JSON complete. Let's click on copy, and we'll go back to our site and paste in all of the JSON and hit import. And you can see it says successful, and it has imported all of our information, which is amazing. I'm just going to click convert to blocks to convert that into WordPress blocks, and we'll choose select featured image. I'm going to choose upload file, and we'll go ahead and grab our image here and add that image. Hit set featured image. You can see it's using the article title as the slug, which is actually quite long. So I might just limit this to Frugal's Kalispell review so that it's a bit shorter. We'll check to make sure the review category is correct. Yes. I can either leave the default restaurant review label, or I can override this. You can see that it's chosen Montana's best drive-through. I could give this my own title. For example, if I thought this was best burger, I could put best burger, or maybe I could put best burger value as the title. You can see it's already added the meta title and description. We've got all of our content here as well. If we scroll down, it's given it ratings for all of those categories. It's given it pros and cons based on information that was in that transcript. We'll just go ahead and put, still hasn't updated from product name to restaurant name, but that's okay. We'll just go ahead and update that. We'll leave the price of the meal that we purchased there, but we can update that to make more sense. And then we also have our final verdict down here below. As you can see, we've got the YouTube video embedded, and then we also have some FAQs that it has written. So it is time to just simply publish this. All right, and here is our review. You can see it's defaulted to these orange colors since we do have our own color scheme. One of the things that we would want to do is update the colors. So let's go to Claude really quick, and let's take a look at our color scheme. We've got our accent color here. Let's go to our Creator Suite menu under Settings. We've got our colors, so let's change our accent color and paste that in. We'll go back to our primary color and paste that in. We've got our secondary color, which would be like our backgrounds and stuff like that. We'll just go ahead and paste that one in there. Body text, and paste that color in. And then we have support. which I don't know what we would use there. Maybe we would leave that as our secondary button color. We'll just go ahead and set that. And then there was a font family that it chose. It chose Poppins as the font family. So we'll go ahead and put Poppins in for the body text. And then we have the heading font family as well. And we'll hit Save Changes. And we'll go back and we'll refresh our post. And you can see now it is using the color scheme that we created that matches the rest of the website. We've got a giant header up here. We definitely want to make some adjustments to that. So let's go to Edit with Elementor, choose Main Header, and we'll click here and we can see we've got a minimum height of 100. That's not bad. That's probably what it should be. So we might need to make an adjustment in the actual plugin. Let's just go back to our home page. And if we scroll down, you can see we've got a review. There's definitely a little bit of adjustment that we're going to need to make here. That's some massive text. So we could go and edit this as well. We are jumping around a bit. This is when you use AI to build things, sometimes things aren't going to be perfect off of our first attempt. So we're going to click here. The image resolution for our preview image, I want that to be a little higher. So I'm going to go ahead and choose large for that. Under style and content, and title, we need to make that typography significantly smaller. And so we'll go ahead and shrink that down maybe to 28. And then the color is incorrect for that, so we need to change it to primary. That's looking better. Now the meta information, so that would be the date, that obviously is massive as well. We want to shrink that down a bit and make that nice and small. These look kind of crowded, so we might need to add some spacing in there as well. And we could do that by adding a little bit of spacing underneath each of these and just make sure that that looks good. We'll go with 10 pixels on each. That is looking good. And we probably, once we add a roundup and some of these others, we're going to have to do that as well. But what we could do is right click and choose copy and then scroll down to roundups and we'll mouse over this, make sure it's selected, right click, paste style. Not paste, but just paste style. Same here for the other one, paste style. And now those styles will be automatically applied and we won't have to come back and make those individual changes to those other sections. All right, so now let's go back to our home page and see how things look. All right, that's looking a lot better. Let's click on this review. So with minimal effort, we built out a complete website and implemented Site Nitro's Creator Suite to make it easy to generate reviews, roundups, comparisons, and guides. And we used AI to generate all the appropriate information easily without having to take a ton of time. Just to go through what's showing up on this page, you can see we have that custom label, best burger value. We have our post title. We have our attribution when it was published, our featured image, a quick verdict here with a link to the website and the price that we paid. We've got our review categories, which you could, of course, edit if AI generated those incorrectly. We've got the pros and cons. We've got the YouTube video embedded right here in the middle of the site, which is awesome. And then as we scroll down, we've got our review body. It automatically generated the table of contents because we're using H2 titles, and H2 titles automatically generate over here as the table of contents. It wrote the entire article for us. It brought the review score in. It generated our final verdict. We can view the Frugal's Kalispell by going directly to that link, and then we can go back and view all of our reviews as well. You can rate this as helpful. We've got our FAQs, and then we have our author box here as well, which mine is empty because I did not yet go into my profile and add my bio. Once I did that, then it would automatically display that here. So with minimal effort and about an hour's worth of time, we were able to create a complete website that makes it easy for us to post reviews, comparisons, roundups, and guides. Everything is completely optimized for search engines. And now as content creators, we have another tool for displaying our information and getting it seen and ranked in search engines, and all of the AI tools like AI overviews and AI mode in Google, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, and all of the others that people are using to help make decisions questions in. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, and I highly recommend that you subscribe to my newsletter. There's a link down in the description of this video as well so that you can check that out. I send out tips and tricks and updates when I put out new videos, and anytime I'm learning something new, I'm coming and sharing it back with all of you. So you definitely want to not only subscribe to YouTube, but you want to subscribe to that newsletter as well. That's going to do it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.